Do we have to wait for Sheila to call prior to calling the meeting to order if she's going to participate?
I think at 6 o'clock you could start, if she
Yeah.
calls in a minute or two later.
Right, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 p.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order. There are a few things to keep in mind. One of them is I've already made the mistake myself and called this a meeting. This is not a meeting, it is a hearing. We are a judicial process. Anyone who chooses to speak must be sworn in. Anyone who is not sworn in will not be recognized and cannot speak. Okay, so that is just part of the process of the hearing. I'd like to start out with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I love it. If you're not, feel free to move.
Oh, no, honey, you're still here, not you, right?
Okay. So, Lori, do you have the oath?
I'm getting it right now.
Okay, thank you. Lori will issue the oath. Anyone who would like to say anything this evening, please stand.
What if you may say something? Maybe, maybe not.
Then we have to take a note. If you're not
I
taking
gotta
a
feel, I gotta feel the
note,
flow of the meeting.
You're ready.
Yeah.
You're not gonna.
and I believe Sheila Petor is on the phone now, so she will also be here.
I'm going to bring you out to the meeting, just a minute. Okay. We'll keep the cold air in.
Hi, Sheila.
Okay, Ms. Sheila.
Hey, Sheila.
Hi, Sheila.
I feel
Thanks for joining us. We hear you. I do. We do. We want one, I'll give you one.
You ready for the
Yes,
oath?
I'm ready for the oath.
Okay. You will, I don't know,
Hold on, Sheila, I'll turn it up.
you'll raise your right hand. You don't have to repeat the whole oath, just agree at the end, at the beginning, if you'll give me your name. I do solemnly swear that the evidence you shall give relative to the cause now under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Round up.
Do we have another connection
You might
out
have to
here?
turn the camera off.
Oh, is that what it is? You know, it's-
Oh, that's okay.
I can't see it.
There is,
I'm here, Sheila. Can she hear us now?
is that better?
Sheila, can you hear anything?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready to go.
Okay, we are here this evening to discuss appeal number 253 from Barbara Dolle, appealing the zoning administrator decision that no permit was necessary. Anytime there's no permit necessary, or it's been decided there is no permit necessary, it leaves us in a very gray area for a time limit, because no permit was given, so no one had 15 days to appeal it. Because of this, and the fact that Ms. Dolle does not hold party status to the property that was formerly known as St. John Bosco Church, on first reflection, I thought we just had to set this entire appeal aside. However, doing some investigating and research for the state, I have come to the conclusion that we can indeed hear this appeal. Mrs. Dolle is a longtime member of this community. She serves the community for all of our voting, and I just feel that given all of the circumstances regarding this, she is entitled to make her opinions and concerns known and be acted upon. So given that, I will turn the floor over to Mrs. Dolle, and you can...
I'd like to interject here
You-
for a minute
okay.
before the meeting starts. I want to publicly acknowledge that a conflict of interest has been sent to the select board regarding to 4 different letters, 2 by the same person and 2 by planning commission members. I was asked if I thought I should recuse myself, and after counsel and talking to people about this, I feel after 25 years of doing this that I'm more than capable of being unbiased, and I'm going to move forward. So that's it.
Okay, Mrs. Dolle, well, would you please explain to us what your concerns are and where you feel we can improve this situation for you?
Okay, in regard to the church?
In regard to the church, the former church property.
Right.
Excuse me. Oh, okay.
Okay, Lori.
Laurie,
you
would
feel-
you read the appeal, please?
I know.
Okay. Dear Town Clerk, May 13th, 2025, to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Stamford, Vermont, CC Stamford Select Board, Planning Commission, Conservation Committee, and Zoning Administrator. To the appropriate town officials regarding my appeal to the activities of the Stone Lion Organization, contact Stephanie Shelburne, UNC 751 Main Road, Stamford, Vermont. Violations of these bylaws of the town of Stamford. Section 7, 7.1 General Regulations, and 7.3 Conditional Use Permit. Stamford zoning bylaws required for the demolition, renovation, and construction, and possible additional business use that has not been approved by the town or state. These are identified in the Stamford bylaws as follows. Limitations: 2.1, 2.1.2, 2.1.3, permitted use, 4.2, site plan review required, and subject to 7.14 of the bylaws, 4.2.2, 4.2.4, 4.2.7, 4.2.9, 4.2.10, 4.2.11, General Regulations 7, 7.3, 7.3.1, 7.3.2, 7.3.3, 7.14, 7.14.1, A through M. I am formally asking for all activity near my property on Klondike Road by the Stone Lion Farm and the demolition and repurposing of the St. John Bosco Church stop until such time permits and the right for official town review and public comment for a change of use is initiated. I am writing this letter to appeal the zoning officer and planning commission members' comments that no conditional use permit is needed for the Stone Lion Farm purchase and demolition, renovation, activities of the former St. Bosco Church, 818 Main Road, Stamford, Vermont. Also, the past activity of multiple farm/house structures referred to as micro-houses being placed on or near the old Wally Dolle property, 558 Klondike Road, that abuts my property on Klondike Road, parcel 00TR1400R000, that did not need a review or change of use permit because of a farm building exemption. Deborah Burchard, zoning administrator, Planning Commission Vice Chair James Stimson, not visible on the video, Chairman Peter Greenbush. Comments by Kurt Gamari, Nancy Bashika, Chairwoman, John, Mike Denal, Vice Chair of the Stamford Select Board. Supporting the information the zoning officer relayed, during the meeting that no permits were needed for the St. Bosco Church, Main Road, Stamford, during the Selectmen's meeting on May 1st, 2025. 1. The subject involves the Stone Lion middle of town activities going on at the former Catholic Church, St. Bosco. Since I live just outside the center of town on Clayton Ave, I was deeply concerned about the partial demolition, renovation, and what appears to be an expansion, making room for the old Kay's Creamery ice cream sales mobile food trailer that has been relocated from the Tejan's driving range, now located in the parking lot of the former Bosco Catholic Church. After reading the notes from the Select Board's meeting of May 1st, 2025, it became apparent that no permit was needed or the zoning officer did not know what was going on, based on comments from the zoning administration, Select Board, and Planning Commission. 2. I have these concerns regarding my property on Klondike Road. I never received a letter from the town informing me these structures were going to be placed or built, with additional buildings possibly being in the Michael Lot complex, now started with 2 buildings created on the old Wallace Dolle farm. This activity may infringe on my water source deeded water rights on the former Dolle, now Stone Lion Farms property, that may not be infringed on as development of these so-called farm structures / micro houses continue. My right to take, repair, maintain the natural Vermont spring in my deed for life gives me the same rights as owning the water source as it was granted by the property owners where it is located, who were my relatives. I also have concerns that these structures may affect where and if I or my heirs intend to build. I have noticed from my property that white stakes have been driven in the ground around my water source. I am concerned these activities, such as the demolition of my very old friend Doug Wild's house, was taken down in a day without any notice to the town. Now the partial demolition of the Bosco Catholic Church, along with the construction of 2 houses without abutter notification and not knowing whether permits and proper abutter notification were gotten under the nefarious auspice of farm structure, gives me cause for great concern with what is going on in the town and who is responsible for the negligence of protecting people's rights that appears to be taking place. I have never in my long tenure as a resident of Stamford seen such malfeasance regarding our bylaws as I see happening presently. I am formally requesting that the powers to be send an explanation of why town officials are not contacting abutters or town residents when such changes are taking place, allowing abutters of these properties, along with changing the use of historic structures as the former Catholic Church, not allowing town resident input as required for new business or change of use for the properties in question. I am formally asking for all activity near my property on Klondike Road by Stone Lion Farm, or whatever name they are using, to stop, until either an explanation is given from the powers to be, along with proper permits being put in place for what the structures really are being used for and not being allowed under a farm exemption for what they are not being used for. I understand the law can be circumvented by turning these micro houses into chicken coops, but allowing this subversion of the law is inappropriate. I further believe any new business in town should be reviewed by the appropriate municipal board, allowing explanation to the town and abutters with what is exactly going on. I want to end this by saying, I have met the new owner of the church, who is extremely friendly and appears to be doing great things for the town. It would be a simple thing for our town officials to ask her to file the proper permits and not be coached by people in town on how to get around them. The people involved with this, from residents to public officials, have created the atmosphere of not being truthful or trusted. I find this disconcerting, as I know many good people, both neighbors and public officials, that support the town's best interests. Please accept my condolences that I am requesting this, but if it was your property, would you allow this to happen when having no idea what was going on? Sincerely, Barbara Dolle, Clayton, Stamford, Vermont.
Mrs. Dolle, do you have anything to add to what you read?
I think that pretty much covers it, the fact that no permits were asked for, no permits were given. I'm very concerned about my water that I have.
Could we table that until we get to that portion of the permit?
Okay.
Okay, just so that we can keep things timely and in order, okay? We are presently discussing the property that was the former St. John Bosco Church.
Okay.
And, yes, sir.
I would just like to ask, does Barbara Dolle is she in a butter to?
No, she is
anything?
not.
Is there a petition with at least 10 names on it saying that this is a problem? I think it's 20 now.
No, I addressed that at the beginning, that she does not officially hold party status, but upon contacting the state, it appears that she has the right to bring this before the board. Okay, so my first thought was that she does not hold party status and we need to just set this aside. But upon research, I don't believe we can, at least not legally. Okay, so do we have, yes, CJ? And CJ, were you sworn in, sir?
I was.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
I think we've had 5, maybe 10 minutes of the meeting, and there's been 3 mentions of someone being a longtime resident. I think every resident has the same status.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm a longtime resident as well. Most of the people in this room are longtime residents. I don't think that should be any consideration in this discussion.
The consideration that I gave it was, I think it's, and I probably shouldn't admit to this, but I think if it had come across from someone that I didn't know from a post, I would say they don't have party status, throw it out. But I didn't, because
I'm sorry, what is party status?
Party status is an abutter, someone with financial interest. There are 5
Okay,
things that
so-
give someone party status.
Like to bring the complaint.
You
Okay,
would have party status to the
Because
St.
I'm
John
an
Bosco property. You would not have party status to the Klondike Road property.
gotcha. Thank
Okay?
you.
Long-time residents.
You've made a mess.
I'm
Someone,
Welcome to my life.
did someone have their hand up over here? Sorry.
I would just like to, I'd just like to ask Mark, or maybe the chair, if you could also read the appeals that Barb sent in.
Didn't we just read those?
Yes.
That was the
Yes.
form?
Yeah. Oh, do you mean,
Yeah.
Or Laura's, maybe?
no, I think I had it.
The only other question I have is for Barb, is that okay?
Yes, certainly.
Can, Barb, did you write this here?
No, I'm sorry, that's inappropriate. You could ask me or the board.
Okay, through the chair, I just ordered it, that was written by the complainant.
In that she signed it, I would have to assume that she did.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hi.
Hi, Kurt. How
Does
are
Sheila
you?
have party status? Can she vote in this matter?
Sheila Pecor?
Yeah, the one on the phone.
Yes, she can.
She can.
Yes. She has party status because she is in a butter. She has no financial interest or no reason that we should determine that she cannot vote. Yes, Deb?
Is there a, not being involved in this before, is there a time when you want me to speak, or should I just go ahead?
Now would be the time.
Now would be the time. Very good. Okay. Hopefully, this is shorter than the.
Okay, I would ask that we stick to the St. John Bosco property.
That's, yeah, okay.
What her complaint is. I have no idea what's going on with this Bosco church you're talking about right now.
what the actual complaint is, having gone over, and you'd rather
It's
hear
on there.
that?
I'd like to
It's
hear
on,
from
it's
her.
on this. It
But
is.
I want to hear it from Barbara.
This will summarize it. That's what's in public notice.
The fact that the church was altered without permits, without the town being involved in the change of the structure, turning it over from a religious status to a business.
But we do not have change of use permits. We have
There is no
conditional
such thing.
use. And the church was not altered, I'm sorry, because to alter is to change or modify or vary, to make it become different without changing its loss of identity. It was taken down, so its loss of identity was completely gone. Alter means if you had an overcoat and you brought it in and wanted it shortened, it would be altered. If you wanted to make it into a pair of pants, that is not an alteration. That's total change of identity. And in removing that garage, they changed the identity completely. So this is where it gets lost in our bylaws because it was not altered. Okay?
I think I would
Make
just,
that up.
I would like to comment on that because.
Was I
No, excuse
recognized?
me, I'm gonna do
You
this,
were, but
because I don't understand what's going on here, and I don't wanna continue this if we're not supposed to be continuing it. Under Vermont law, any demolition in the state of Vermont has to be permitted. You cannot start a demolition, well, here's the bylaw right here. When your local bylaws may not specifically require hazardous waste permits, Vermont state law has the stricter regulations regarding hazardous materials like asbestos, lead, and renovation and demolition products, especially for public or commercial buildings like churches or other business buildings.
okay, and David, I'm gonna stop you, please. And I agree with that, and they're absolutely right, that is the case. However, we don't have that in our bylaws, and
Doesn't,
we,
they're telling you it doesn't matter.
I know it
That's what I'm
doesn't,
trying to
but
get to.
someone has to recognize that.
The state is telling you.
The
You're gonna
state
sit
is,
here.
but these people can't be expected to know
Oh,
that.
okay, well,
That,
I'm sorry, I totally disagree with that.
I
It's our-
understand you
it's
do,
our
and I knew
job-
you were going
it's
to.
our- It's our job to follow state
Okay.
statute, that's why we have the judicial bureau, so that we can follow state statute.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Could I just make a
Yes,
quick?
no, actually Deb had the floor next.
Good.
I have, well, thank you. My whole thing, if you can gloss over, because I'm going to read it. I'll
Okay.
try to,
Do the monarch edition?
I'll try.
Okay.
So if I stumble through this, it means I'm trying to cut and paste in my mind, which may not work. First of all, thank you very much for your careful consideration on these matters that might require bylaw and zoning ordinances or ordinance changes in our town of Stamford,
Mhm.
Vermont. I will address the two items that involve zoning. So if you'll give me permission to go back to the other one.
Okay.
Okay. I am not going to get into a timeline of the purchase of the building that housed St. John Bosco up to today. Rather highlight my involvement in permitting or non-permitting structures and uses. The church building, which is in a residential zone, has been in a conditional use status since the beginning of zoning in Stamford. It was a church in, when was it built, or when was it commissioned? Or
I don't know, it was a tea room.
1948.
before it was
So
church.
the 40s?
So-
1948.
41, okay.
41.
So it was a church, or it was in a conditional use status
Mhm.
since the beginning of zoning. The building's use, although it's called a church, was a place designated for the gathering of people. When UNC Foundation purchased the building, the deed stipulated that it remain a charitable organization. It remains that today, and also the building's use has not changed. It still remains a place for the gathering of people. The conditional use status runs with the deed. Early April, Nancy Bashika came to me and questioned whether a permit should be issued for its current use. now called, correct me if I'm wrong, the Center at Stone Lions Farm. I told her at the time I would look further into it, but felt the owner need not submit a permit because its use has not changed. Remember, it is still a charitable organization, 501c3. Can I make sure I have your attention?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. And a place to gather people. On April 16th, I responded to her and the entire select board via email that my decision is that a permit is not necessary for the building's current use. On April 17th, it was discussed briefly in the select board meeting, then again on May 1st. Ms. Dolle is appealing my decision, yet the 15-day appeal period had come and gone by the time she submitted her application, dated, well, I have May 13th for a ZBA hearing. This was responded to the select board. I have it in an email. The entire select board was copied. 15 days came and went. She's referring to the May 1st conversation that we had with the select board.
And may I interrupt you?
Mhm.
And any of those, was there discussion of demolition?
The second, May 1st was the discussion, I believe. I just
Because I
reviewed it
believe,
today.
as of right now, what we're looking at is the demolition.
Okay?
We're not looking at any other activity at the present time.
Even though it's in her request.
It is, but what appears to be the contention is the demolition. That is where safety issues has come in. And I agree with you 100% that what we might need to do is reconsider our own bylaws.
I have to go strictly by the complaint.
Right, I understand that.
In the complaint, she's addressing very specifically that she wants permits in place. She wants all activities stopped until proper permits are in
Right.
place.
I understand that.
So are we changing?
No, we're not, but I want to clear up the demolition because to me, that is the major concern. And I'm sorry, your name is Stephanie?
Yeah,
Okay.
so anyone that could clear up the demolition would be me. So that's why my hand is up.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
yeah, so that would be
Please
me.
stand and identify yourself and
Stephanie Shelburne. Dave brought it to my attention one day in a very loud, volatile way in the parking lot that there should have been some permits. I was able to get a hold of emails and a contact person for the state, called that person, said, hey, was there something that I needed to do? He said, yes, you should have given us a notice of demolition, but you can do it now,
now. And
which
you're
I
doing
did.
that? Okay,
He's got that paperwork on, he's had it for a month.
okay.
So the permit discussion, the demolition discussion is dead, it's over. So let's move
And
on.
that has been taken care of?
Yeah.
And do you have any, and I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm being argumentative, is there any evidence to that effect?
He's got it on file at the state.
Okay, can you give us his name and,
Dave's got it, he's been in
Dave
direct
got it?
conversation with him as a planning board member. You do too, I have copies of the email, Dave. I have copies of the
can you
email.
can
Yeah.
you
I've
forward?
never emailed you my
I can do
life.
that, not right now, but yes, I
Yeah,
have
but
copies of the
could you
email.
produce the email, please?
Yes, could you get it to Laurie?
Yeah,
I'd like to see
And-
it now.
yeah.
Is there any way you could do it now and we could enter it as evidence?
I guess so.
Okay,
That would
if
be
you could
great.
do that, then we could enter it as evidence and that can clear up a very large chunk.
We're going in the right direction.
I've actually also brought this up at select board meetings and it's been on recording. I also want to bring up that I realize that as a point of governance that we should have fair and equitable treatment. And I do not think I'm receiving that in any way, shape, or
And
form. And
I
that feels
regret
really
that.
problematic to me.
Mine, and I'm sure that Deb will verify this, as chairman of this board, the one thing that I feel very firmly about is that I never enter a hearing with a preconceived opinion. I come here to gain all the information that I can and then make my decision from there. I want my board to get their decision to make their decisions at the same time. And I don't think, at least from my heart, there is absolutely no ill will for anything that is going on. I can tell you personally, I wish I could run down in your mass, but I can't. That was taken away from me a couple of years ago. So,
And that had nothing to do with us.
nothing
That
to do
could
with
be a
you. I
storage
know
unit.
that.
It could be
You can-
demolished, but it's not. We're trying
You
to
can
do,
enter into evidence that you have applied for a permit that is going to clear up the demolition issue very well. Deb, you weren't finished, I think, so I'm
Well,
sorry.
You threw me.
I'm sorry.
I have it highlighted.
Okay.
She is formally asking for all activity near my property on Klondike Road by the Stone Lion Farm and the demolition and repurposing of St. Bosco Church. I didn't have anything to do with
To do with that. We understand
demolition.
that.
It was just gone.
Right.
I mean, it was gone, yes. So she is asking specifically for the right for official town review and public comment for a change of use.
Right. And that is something we will make a vote on.
Right, but that, you
That
want
should
me
be
to
known
stick
that
with the
conditional use
demolition.
And change of use are the same thing.
No,
there's
they're
no
not.
change of use in the
In
bylaws.
this
It's not the
But-
same.
state,
There's
In
no
this-
change of
separate,
use
Going
and
back to
conditional
state.
use are
No,
the
it's
same.
not.
change of use
It's
is not
not.
defined in the bylaws.
It's not defined.
There is no change of use in
There
our
we go,
bylaw.
Rick.
And
There's no change of
let's,
use.
I'm going to say clearly, there will be no raised voices and there will be no disrespect. Let's not go there.
I started,
CJ,
yeah.
As far as the demolition and hazardous materials and asbestos, I believe the town had the building inspected when they were interested in it, and as well as her contractor inspected it. And to my knowledge, no hazardous materials were found. I may be incorrect on that,
and
but
can anyone provide any of that?
The report in the
You
town.
have a report on file in the town.
We do.
Any
We have
any reasonable contractor would look inside there and know whether or not they need to draw a permit.
all I'm asking for is evidence.
It's in the town report.
And what does the state law say in regards to
The
what you're
report
saying?
was emailed to the select board, they received a copy of it.
And there was no hazardous material.
That I don't know. It's
Okay.
like a 40-page report, I don't know off the top of my head.
Did we get a report from a licensed asbestos remediation person in the state of Vermont clearing the building for demolition?
The building has not been demoed. The building is fine. It hasn't been touched.
I
The garage
disagree.
was demoed, and that
Was
is
the
in the
garage-
inspection
excuse
report.
me,
Please review the inspection report.
I don't have to
That's-
review the,
It's on file.
is the garage part of the
Laura,
building?
can you get that for us? Okay. Okay, we'll give Lori a moment to,
Again,
to
it
get
has
that.
to go through the state.
And Dave, I think we have to discuss because we are having issues with, I personally cannot take on the state.
Okay, okay.
I can't. There is just too much. I demolished a garage in North Adams, and everyone except the Pope and the Dalai Lama came to investigate it. It ended up costing me $6,000 just in permits, and it was,
I'm sorry, the laws are what they are, I
I
don't
know,
make them. And I just
That's
want to address
Massachusetts.
Barb Dolle, because we never let her finish. but
no, I know.
I would like to say, Barb, what was your concern about the demolition of the garage?
It's the fact that the debris and the dust that's involved in the air that has transpired over to the school. My grandchildren have come home coughing, no apparent illness. The debris that was burned, do we know if it was painted? Do we know if it was termite infested? Do we know what was in the wood? And the burn occurred. And the air is all
The
out.
problem now, Barb, is what can you do about
They
it?
didn't burn.
What burned?
There
Nothing was
Nothing was
burned.
burned.
Talking about two different.
Nothing was burned.
Licensed contractor that
I
took
saw
it.
burning. I saw it. And the building behind it was demolished also.
That building was demolished years ago.
Oh, was it?
Yes. I was chairman of the parish council when we demolished that building.
Can I
Yes,
just
sir.
make a quick point? I'd be very careful on this board if you're gonna look at anything over 14 days. because you're gonna set a major precedent, and that's gonna open this town wide
That-
open, wide
we
open
discussed
for
that.
any type
Because-
of permit review. It's a bad
Because
precedent.
there was no permit issued, there is no,
There's this permit on the second complaint that was issued,
yes, but that's another
a
issue.
year and a half ago.
Yes, I know that.
Throw it out.
Which one are you referring to? The
He's
water
referring to the
concerns?
water.
Water estate dates, not anything to do with this board. You know
Okay.
that.
I appreciate.
We're
your-
gonna not discuss it till we get to it.
No,
and-
yeah, I just.
It's nothing to do with this board or any board in town. All water, sewer, septic goes through the state. You know that. It's nothing to do with you guys.
If you're contaminating water, it's our
Nothing to do with you.
obligation in this
It's got
town.
nothing- that's-
We're gonna hold that one.
State
We're
regulated.
gonna stop. Yes, Kathleen.
I wasn't sworn in, but at this point, I would like to be sworn in. I have a few things I would, as my
Okay.
daughter, as a resident of Stamford. since
That's
I
why
was
we
2
asked if
years
anyone-
old. 2 years old, my parents came here. The house was built on Jefferson Road.
She's not sworn.
No, I'm going to swear you in.
Okay, so.
I know that.
I'm right here.
She's talking, I know she's talking. You're doing the best. you can.
Go ahead, swear me in.
Thank you for the guidance from the.
Appreciate it.
You're
I'd
welcome.
like to throw them all out.
That will help, Dave.
I know.
Everybody else while we're here?
Anyone else?
What do I raise my hand?
Yes.
That's good.
You didn't.
Peter has raised his hand also.
Might as well.
Aye.
I, Peter Greenbush,
I, Kathleen Trotter Hall,
Do solemnly swear that the evidence you shall give relative to the cause now under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
She's gonna have a biased statement because she just turned around and told her to go back where she came from.
I told her.
Just right there. Yeah.
It's not bad. I don't, people don't like it here.
That's what she
So where
did.
it
She
came
looked
from.
right at her and said, go back where you came from.
I told this gentleman, I didn't tell Stephanie.
Expect a biased
Excuse me.
prejudice comment right there.
Is that so?
Yes, I did say that.
Okay, please leave.
Excuse-
Please leave.
No, I'm not.
Please
No,
leave.
Jeannie.
I-
I said it because I'm very, very anxious. My parents are not here. My children are far away. And this is the first
Kathleen,
time.
I'm asking you to leave.
And I
the
said,
room.
no, I'm
And
not
but-
gonna get the police after me, okay? I don't think it's fair to me as an abutter. I have asthma, which I can prove through my doctor. What I have to say,
Laurie, don't take
I'm
down none of
sorry,
this,
then
please.
go ahead, Laurie, take it down.
No, I said take down none of it. This is
Then
not
don't-
testimony.
okay, this is ridiculous.
This is
My
not
dad was on
testimony,
all the
Kathleen.
boards. They shook hands and nobody
Shouldn't have come to the
argued.
meetings
Fight.
drunk.
Kirk, come on, get off.
All
of it.
right, you may leave also.
Yes, absolutely. See you later.
Disrespectful.
See you later.
I'm not being
Disrespectful.
Took all
I'm
5
not
minutes.
I
tolerating.
got
What,
stuff
take
in
me
once,
out?
I just
Kathleen.
wanted
Oh, I'll take you.
Go ahead, take me out.
to. Take me, hey, everybody, knock it off.
One of the members.
Go ahead. Remove me.
Shut it, raise your hands.
I
Remove
can't
me.
hear you, Jim, from my hearing aids. That you being-
All right. We have a decision to make here. Kathleen and Kurt, I would like you to leave.
I'm not leaving, I'm sorry. I've been here since I was 2 years old, and I am fighting this alone.
Well, there is no
My
way
children-
that any of your testimony is being
That's
taken
fine.
into consideration.
That's
Kurt,
fine.
I will ask
I'll
you to
leave just
stay.
for the
No,
meeting go on. This is
you're more
pathetic.
than
You
welcome
guys
to
are all
stay if
pathetic.
you-
See you later. Bye-bye. That's 2 meetings in a row you guys threw me out of. 2.
I know.
Take it.
Okay.
Can I speak or not?
Yes,
Maybe
Jen.
I'll try to keep it down about my African opinion.
Hey,
He had to go, she's gotta
I'm
go.
sickened
Yeah,
by what's
it's-
going on.
I am too.
It's not-
I am too.
And I'm talking to Jeannie, right? She's the chair of this thing. I'm not talking to anybody else right now.
Okay.
I am sickened by what members of this board is doing, members of my board, members of the select board, and the mishandling of everything in this town. This town is gonna get sued, And the biggest reason is the guy sitting next to you, and nobody will do anything about it. So, I'm talking to Gene, I'm not talking to anybody else. I get my time. Gene, can shut me up anytime.
Okay,
And
I would
sit.
like, I appreciate
of
your
this.
comments. They have been taken into consideration. There has been a lot of discussion. I will, Peter?
I just want to acknowledge what was said about my property, which was the 1135 Main Road, which is the old Wild Home,
Yes.
which should never be talked about again. I don't want to hear about it because then
It's not-
Nevertheless, it was brought up.
It was brought up.
Okay, and I'm
but
gonna tell you that I was on and had multitude of emails. Dave is aware of this, because I've said this to him as well. And Sheila, I think you were involved as well in the planning commission, because they said I needed permits to tear down my home. I have email threads from John Brooker Campbell from the state that Deb has as well, that says I am exempt from permitting for tearing down my house. It's in email. If you guys would like it for any reason whatsoever, please contact Deb, okay, and you can have it. And I'd be more than happy to show it to you, because I've showed them. Okay, I am exempt. I really don't want to hear about my property anymore. It's done and over with. I do not need a property, so please.
So noted,
Thanks.
thank you. And
Appreciate it.
I didn't expect it
It
to
has
come up.
nothing to do with this.
No.
Thank you.
Yes.
Peter,
Yep.
how are you saying I did something on that?
I'm not saying you did something, I'm saying that you might have been at the meeting in the
This has
planning
nothing to do
commission
with
when
this.
No.
I told Dave, that's all.
Peter's property has absolutely
Absolutely
nothing
nothing.
to do
I
with
don't even know why you're getting involved with this.
I'm just
Did anybody
referencing,
from this board bring up your property?
she did.
This
And then you started
board.
talking about it, you started discussing it.
This
Did you not?
No, we did not
No.
discuss anything.
You didn't
about it.
acknowledge it at all.
I don't know.
It's actually in the complaint.
It is in the complaint, but we.
So I just wanted to address it, that's all.
We've had no discussion regarding it, nor
I just
did I
wanted to-
plan on having any, so.
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stephanie?
I think what I don't understand, and again, this is what I've said from the very beginning, is all this discussion is going on that actually is really emotion-driven, not facts-driven. So people are getting engaged in all these different ways. There are simple facts, simple answers to the facts, and even when they're given, it doesn't seem to matter. And I feel like that is the biggest problem right now. And I just don't understand why we're under attack in the way that we are. All the things we're being
I'm
accused
sorry
of.
if you feel that I'm attacking you,
Well,
I'm not. And as I said, I come to every hearing with no preconceived opinion.
Okay, can I finish?
Yeah.
Because my point is, I still don't understand what the action statement for this whole thing is. What do you want? A permit? I sent it
And
to
you
Lori.
sent it in.
Okay,
So-
so that one's done. 818 Main Road, done. Move it aside. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. Are you
Okay,
ready?
now, the next one, the water conversation, the water runs from Barbara Dolle's property to ours. I'm really not sure how we're contaminating her water source.
The only, as part of her complaint, is that there are humans living in the structures. Is that
There's
correct?
no one living in the
Is there
structures,
someone
they are
who's
not
living in the
livable.
structure?
They're not livable,
And
no
they
one's
do
living in
not
them.
have
So
any
I just,
water. I'm
I'm supplying you with the facts, let me finish. Okay, let me finish. No one is living in those buildings, they're not livable, there's no water, there's no nothing. Her property is further down the road across from a whole different plot of land. The water rights that she's talking about runs from her land downhill through our property into the actual farmhouse. They are nowhere near the structures that she's complaining about, nowhere. There's no way,
And Barbara,
let me
do you have
finish
a map of
please.
this? Well,
Please let me
just-
finish, okay? Let
Yeah.
me finish explaining. The white stakes that she's talking about, we put in the ground to mark her property line because last year we accidentally brush hogged the 10 feet that are her field. I didn't know was her field. Her son called and yelled at me, so I made sure we marked her line so we wouldn't have any further infringement. That's why those white stakes are there. All anyone had to do was ask.
Mrs. Dolan.
I have a map of the land that I'm referring to and the water supply. That water supply is a natural spring on her property that has already been put in a deed, 1970. I'm concerned about animal feces contamination.
We have no control over agriculture.
Okay, but
Okay.
she's making it an agricultural.
We have no
Property.
control over
It's been a
agriculture.
farm
That's
forever.
okay. Well, it is.
You know, it's
too.
not when there's a water supply, and she's worried about it being contaminated.
Good coaching.
And the stakes were in around the spring that's on that map.
The question is, do you feel that people are living in the buildings?
Not at this time, but a comment was made to me in front of the St. John Hospital Church.
A comment.
That she would be living up there for 6 months to write a book. And the other building would house people who are artists. And I was a little bit taken back because is it housing the people or is it agricultural? Which way are we going here? I need to know.
That's hearsay.
Actually,
And
right now,
Stephanie, may I ask you something? If you are planning to do something similar to that, I would hope that you would apply for a permit for it.
yes, right now the buildings are empty. There's no plan to do anything right now.
That would-
And I will
My
say
hope would be that you get
that-
a permit if you choose to move up there for 6 months.
Well,
And go
I
out
can
to
live in
the-
the farmhouse. It's a house that's been lived in for 100 years. I can live in that farmhouse.
Mhm.
Anyone can live in that farmhouse.
And the
So,
question is the small agricultural building.
right, well, those are not on the table at all. There's nothing,
Nothing is going on there, no one is residing.
there's storage right now.
Okay. And this is keeping in mind, I am somewhat familiar with animal husbandry, and there are times that you need people to stay there.
But it would never
that's
be
not
there.
in-
But the farmhouse has been lived in for how long? Like Wally Dolle and family. That's, and I would be allowed to live there if I wanted to.
His father lived there.
Yeah.
That wasn't,
The permit that we have here is the installation of 2 utility farm accessory buildings.
Right, that meet all setbacks, that are under 300 square feet each. They meet all setbacks. There's no issue whatsoever. They have no running water in them. They have no toilet facilities. They have nothing.
They're just sheds, like everybody else.
And you're saying that if you decide to do something with them, you're gonna let us
I
know?
would do the right thing, yes, of
Okay.
course, of course. I think that's the other thing I want to make really clear, is that comment about me being coach. I'm actually quite an intelligent person. I know the bylaws, I know your guys' bylaws like crazy now, for sure. I know the state ordinances, I know, I inform. We are a nonprofit. I can't just make decisions willy-nilly, like we have to follow rules. More rules than we actually have to follow per the town. So the suggestion that we are taking all these shortcuts or being coached to sidestep is actually really offensive.
Well, we've never said that.
It's in the complaint,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Whatever someone submits as a complaint becomes public information. And you have not heard any of that from this board. And I realize this is very, very long. Does anyone know where I would find the information regarding?
Just look under the garage. There is a section titled garage. It has pictures of the garage. There's no asbestos, there's no, it's under the
She
garage.
has the right to,
She has a spring on that property.
right, so she
But
has the
owns-
right to maintain her spring.
And make sure it's not being contaminated, I think that's what she's saying.
may I speak?
Yes.
Stephanie made a statement that the stakes were put in on my property. They were not on my property. Those stakes were put in, which are 15 rods north of my property. And I have the right in my deed from 1970, my heirs and assignees, the perpetual and easement to take water from the spring on the remaining land of the grantors east of the Klondike Road and 15 rods northerly of the northerly bound of the premises. Such easement, together with incidental easements of entry for the purpose of improving and maintaining such spring and for the replacement of any water lines running from such spring to the premises. Such easement to be appurtenant to the parcel herein, which is that my land.
Okay.
And there's the map.
And just for informational purposes, is that the water that you are presently drawing to drink?
No, but I might put a house up there or a camp, and I'm going to need that water
Mhm.
to not be contaminated to run
Okay.
my home.
Right.
She's
Okay.
uphill from us,
Um,
so I'm curious how it can be contaminated.
The water is at the bottom of your micro lot where you've put your houses. It's above Wally's house and home.
Yeah, downhill from yours.
Downhill.
Wiley's home is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the micro houses that are installed up on the Michael lot, and my water is below that.
The spring comes from your land.
What's that?
I said, you don't know what they're gonna be
Yeah,
used for, right? There's no septic, there's
So
nothing
now
going on there.
there's a
How can you complain if
precedence
there's
to
nothing
pass
going on?
rules based on maybes. Is that it? There's a precedence to pass rules based on maybes, Dave, is that it?
Are you
On
speaking to
maybes?
me?
I am, yeah.
Okay, in regards to what I've read in the complaint is that the issue is possible water contamination
Okay, so
because
Possible.
I don't know how long you've had the land. I don't know is it agricultural? Like, I don't know anything about it other than she sent in a concern about water contamination. So yours to the floor and tell me what's going on.
Yeah, nothing, because we're not doing anything, so.
Okay.
So if you're running an agricultural land structure.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, sir.
I'm not sworn in or anything,
Okay, would you like to be sworn in?
if I have to be.
You have to be if you're gonna speak.
Okay, give me your name.
Walter Winchett,
Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you shall give relative to the cause now under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes, I just wanna say, Wally Dolle owned that field. I got a field he used to have. After he hated it, he had cows down there, first calf heifers, whatever you wanna call it. They've been there for over, Wally's, I think 96. I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Barbara's gonna run water from that road across the town road up to her property. I'm sorry.
Do you want to see, excuse me, would you like to see the map of where the spring is, where it shows it does not go across Klondike Road?
Is that part of this?
Do we have it here in the chat? And CJ, what is your comment?
You have stated repeatedly that you would like evidence on anything that somebody's discussing. Is there any evidence of contaminated water?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Is there evidence that anyone is in those buildings and using, I mean, I've already stated there's
No,
nothing, so
the-
why are we continuing? I've already stated there's no one there, there's nothing there, there's no cows up there, there's no livestock on that land, even if there was, we could have it there. So I don't understand why we're still continuing the conversation, actually.
I think that, no.
Wait a minute.
No,
I
I'm not.
I wanna know before you, because I'm gonna hire a lawyer, you cannot be Kurpiel tell me that I have got to leave when I've never, and my parents were never told to leave either. So is all four of you together, then tomorrow I'll call the lawyer and find out. Okay, I will. I wanna know if Sheila, Dave, I don't know you,
Dave
and
Saldo.
I know
Ted
Mr.
Dover.
Dover. I know Mr.
After
Dover,
15
and I
years.
know you, okay?
Okay.
And you know damn well, okay? Just tell somebody to leave a meeting, which nobody here to me has authority to tell.
I do.
You don't.
I do.
Then the suit will go against you.
Okay, that's very good. You insulted somebody.
No, I didn't insult. I told the gentleman behind me, and I whispered it to him. I'm very upset with this whole situation.
I'm
I
terribly
would have
sorry.
been I went to see Stephanie once, we got along fine,
Okay.
and I will go see her again. But I am going to call a lawyer for you,
Yeah.
because you have no authority. I don't know who in the hell you think you are, and don't put it down, but you think that you're Mrs. Mayor here?
No, I
You should
don't.
let everybody speak like they used to years ago. I don't know Mr.
Sorry.
Salvo, but I hear good things about him. It's all right, I'm doing this alone as a senior citizen. My children, my son, 30 years, just got out of the Air Force as a colonel, okay? And you're telling me to leave? We'll see. 2 years old I was when I was brought here, of course, from Dr. Kearns, were Stephanie's beautiful places. And I had other things to say, and I will not to be heard, and I think Stephanie would like to hear what I thought. about the horses and they take good care of them and the animals and whatever out my kitchen window. I think it's a terrible, terrible insult to people that were born here or brought up here, okay?
Does that have to do with anything?
It has to do with her telling me that I have to leave.
Please, let's stop.
I'm
You're all
asking
clear.
you.
Don't give me
I'm not
that.
asking
You
Jerry,
have no
I'm
business shut your
a
mouth.
79-year-old woman, this is Kurpiel.
Oh, you know what? I'm sworn in. I'm leaving. This is ridiculous. Good luck to you. Ugh. Oops.
Okay.
Good way to leave.
I'm not leaving.
You gotta be quiet.
I can't be quiet when
You
you
gotta
people
be
are
quiet.
all arguing. Years ago, when the school was built and my father was the one that instrumented that when the rest of us were in a 4-room, okay, nobody argued then. Everybody shook hands, even your father. Everybody shook hands. Nobody argued and fought like this, and to make me sit here and cry in front of people, this is not what I want to do.
Well, get up and leave then.
No, Mr. Dover, you get up and leave. How's that? Who do you
Okay,
think you are,
we
Mr.
will
Dover?
come to order, or I will adjourn the meeting right now, and there will be no action taken on anything.
I don't really care at this point, I'm sorry. This is just very, very upsetting.
Well, get up and leave.
No,
You're just-
Mr.
you're
Dover, you
disrupting the whole
leave. Go
thing.
back to Clarksburg. How's
Okay,
that?
I would like a motion, up for something. Someone make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to get back to the, what these appeals are about, and if, are we done with the church appeal, and she never got to finish that, so it sounds like the water thing, there's no animals up
That's
there.
right.
There's no contamination, she has a concern, she wants to know, you know, if there's gonna be and what's going on. I
Right.
think that's fair, but that's
And
nothing that, you know, that can be worked out with Stephanie and Mrs. Dolle.
Right, because if there is anything that is going to go on, then Stephanie would have to get the permits to do it. If she was going to build another structure up there, and I think we have to have faith in our community. I really do. I think we need to have faith in it. I know that David and I disagree about what stand we should take in regard to how strong we can be with the state. And I will tell you all, I make $25 a year to sit here, and I can make $25 a year easier. I'm not gonna take on the state.
I understand where you're coming from, it's very difficult after 25 years of doing this, to have people in the audience telling
Can
you
I
it's
say
job.
something in closing?
Yes,
We're not going, yeah,
well,
go ahead.
yes.
I'm going back to your comment in the beginning. I think that is one of the issues that divides this town. The people who have been here forever and the people who have come in and are paying a good chunk of the taxes, being good citizens. And you did say, if it was somebody just coming in with this complaint, you'd have thrown it out.
I probably would have, yes.
I think you as, in your position, I'm disappointed. I don't think that ever should have come into play. If you felt in your heart that this complaint had no merit,
No,
it shouldn't
taking it out
matter.
of context.
Well, it shouldn't matter that
It sounds
a
like
person
that's
who-
contemporaneous
who is
conversation
right.
went on here.
Yes, I took the time to investigate
Okay.
based on,
But you wouldn't have if it was somebody new.
I
See?
perhaps
Same
wouldn't, I
thing.
don't
That's
know, the
what she
same
said.
thing that Laurie was,
Dave, it's,
And
don't
on the
shake your
board
head
for
at
over
me.
20 years, we have never taken that position.
Right.
And Deborah, can you tell me one time that a bad judgment was made from this board? One time.
I've only seen one, it was the sign. That's it. That's the only
okay, we're
time
not
I've
gonna go
ever.
back there.
that
Let's not go there.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue.
That's all
Yes,
wrong.
Sheila.
Right, Jim?
Certain ones are grumping because some of us went down and talked to her, and we didn't talk to other ones, or things like that. I did go down and I explained to her my hearing, and I explained to her that I worked with Bill, and when Bill was putting the gas station in, had him explain to me because I was working it. I wanted to know, and like I told her, I want to hear their reasons, what they are doing it for. Then when I come in here, I can hear everybody else, okay? I haven't made any decisions. I'm thinking about everything and anything. But I also know when Peter spoke about people who are at the planning board, and Jim had said something about it, in the select board thing, it says right here, Stephanie wished people would approach her personally with questions.
Which you did,
Right.
which is great.
I did. But you know what? I've got it shoved at me several times saying that I should not have done that. You know, the new people and the old people, we all have our own decisions and ways of doing things. I approached and I told her exactly, I told her. I told Bill that many years ago when I first started working for him, when he put the gas station in. I just have to have main people tell me what they're doing. Then when I come in here and I hear everybody, and I don't think we should be taking and not listening to some people. I
That's
think
exactly
we should be
what I
hearing
said.
everybody. And I am really discouraged that we're letting a lady leave here wound tighter than a drum that didn't really know what was going on until she read it in the papers. And you talk about we're all supposed to be here and talk back and forth and do this and do that. Well, let's wake up and do it. Instead of this other cabalony of going one person saying this, one going over here, one over there. Let's personally get together and yeah, I'll stand right over there where CJ is. And when everybody goes out there, I'll shake hands with you. You all know that, you know? And I'd like to keep that going. I'd like us all to be able to talk. No more screaming, no more yelling, no more that over here. Or saying, well, you know, I'm running of this planning board, or I'm running of this board, or I'm running of that board. You're gonna follow what we all put in. No, let's all think about this. We all came to this town to be part of this town. And let's stay part of the damn town. Instead of certain ones thinking they're the ones that are gonna do it, and us other older ones come in, and we get ripped off, and we wanna be told to get out. Well, come on. Let us all be together. And it's time we started it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Very good.
It just ticked me off and I wanted to say it.
Good for you. We're glad you
I'm
did.
just wondering when the new become the old.
I-
That's the division, that's all.
It
doesn't- it doesn't
matter.
matter.
It's not here.
No, I try to get along with everybody, but
Okay.
I'm not going down there with you. You said I got to play with it, you and I together.
I am not sorry that I have issued this complaint.
Okay.
I feel that what's right is right. You go by the bylaws. I have read these bylaws like a Philadelphia lawyer, as I was told one time by an attorney with a case that I was handling for my son. I went step by step and I read every article. If you're going to follow the bylaws in this town, then you have to start right from the beginning, not wait 10, 20 years, 30 years. I have been here a long time. I don't rear my head, but there are certain issues that I have kept quiet about. When it involves water rights, or it involves a structure change because it's now a business and we have another business on the property, I don't know where that fits into the bylaws of this town, and that's what I am questioning.
And that's perhaps where investigation needs to be done. Do we need to have a demolition permit available? And if we do, who is going to oversee that? What is going to need to be demolished? That's not something you just want to write in without thorough investigation. Stephanie, I realize that we're rambling now and we have,
I just have
Should
the
probably-
document over, it's very clear cut. You file a notice of demolition, that's what I did. It's done, I sent the document to Lori, so I don't understand why it continues, that's all. Nothing else is being altered in the building. We
No.
love that building.
And,
We're trying to treat it with as much respect as,
Can I ask
especially
a
due to
question,
historical, you know, like we're,
I don't have to lose much.
no.
Do it.
Stephanie, can you answer me a question, please? In regards to when this appeal was filed, when did you ask for the permit, demolition permit? What date did you ask?
I just sent the email over to, Lauren.
Was it before May 1st?
Okay,
No, I'm not trying to hold you, but I'm trying to understand.
okay,
when
but let me finish.
Go ahead.
I already explained this. At the point, because I talked to my contractor, at the point that I received copies of the emails that you sent to the guy, that's how I got his phone number, that asbestos and lead guy for the state. I can go back and look at his name. I got his phone number off of that email trail, and I called him and said, hey, as far as I talked to our contractors, they said, no, because of the inspection report, it's obvious there's no asbestos, it's obvious there's no lead, it was an added-on building, it's in the report, so they didn't think to do a permit, so I was like, oh, so I called the guy who was like, yeah, you should have filed a notice, here's the link, file it now.
File it now.
So it has now been filed.
So I want to retract something I said to Stephanie earlier. She said I sent her an email.
It wasn't, you didn't send it to me, yeah, you didn't send it to me.
Right, this was the confusion. I said nothing to Stephanie.
Okay.
I actually, to clarify this, I got a complaint, it wasn't from Mrs. Dolle, but I got a complaint about a building, and I went to the select board, and I asked Deb, and she said she wasn't aware that you needed, because it was down. Okay.
I knew it was
And I
gone.
said, I asked the select board, I said, has a permit been taken? And out of what happened with me doing this, people have accused me of stepping outside my boundary as a ZBA enforcer over hazardous waste situation. So I just want to make one thing clear. There are two reasons that you can step outside your boundary and go solo. It's when hazardous waste is involved and contaminated water. These two things address this.
Right.
And I was within my rights. So because of people coming
It's
down my
just the
throat,
costing
doing this
part
stuff.
of it, the
Yeah, but
sort
let
of-
me finish.
No.
I am officially leaving these boards after this is done because the malicious letters that were written about what I said, that's for another time. But I just want everybody to know here, you don't have to worry about me anymore. I've had my fill. And I'm not against you, just like I said down there, but the things you wrote back were really bad. I said I would do anything I could do to help him. And what did I get in return? Look at me. Didn't I say
Oh, I'm
that?
looking at you.
Did
I was the one on the other end of the yelling that you said.
Okay, I think we need to drop this line.
I know,
Sheila,
sorry.
you have something to say?
And there were
I have
other
one more
witnesses.
Comment. I go around and we have mowing around in different spots in the town and stuff. And we do mow cattle, okay? The smell from the animals is really strong out in her front lawn. I just want to know, is there any way that you can get them away from the end of the fence a little bit?
Okay, this is
Yeah, sure.
this is not at all.
I just
No.
figured I'd bring it
Oh,
up.
Ma'am, you had something to say?
I did just want to say, Natalie O'Neill, am I going to be asked and welcome to introduce myself? as a
Did
new
you-
member?
were you sworn
I'm a new
in?
member of this community. so
Were
I
you
just-
sworn in
I
earlier?
did, I was
Okay,
sworn in.
then you're all set.
I was personally present on the property when the two interactions from this board came to address what they're saying in conversations with Stephanie. They were not pleasant. I wouldn't say they were welcoming.
I was
They were-
pleasant.
The comment in leaving was, I believe, I didn't kill her. See, I didn't kill her to
Well,
another
that's
community
because-
member.
Okay,
That's
so
not, that doesn't.
that's
feel very
certainly not pleasant,
welcoming
and we're
and
not
friendly.
gonna
It's
take this
hearsay.
out. It's hearsay, and we're gonna let
I
it
was
pass.
personally present and yes.
Okay. So, what we have before us this evening is some issues that I think we've cleared up to some degree. It's still a little muddy. We have had a learning curve here. I think there's a lot that the planning commission has to do to maybe look things over and decide what changes need to be made. In regard to demolition, numerous buildings have been demolished in this town through the years. And it has never honestly come up before it being a concern. I mean, I could go right down Main Road and name where buildings have been demolished. So it's time we look at that. And as I said, I had garage demolished, it cost a fortune. There was discussion about have the fire department on site in order to dampen everything while it's being demolished. And then when you do that, you get contaminants into the soil and into the water supplies. So it's not an easy fix. You don't just write down a new zoning bylaw. Stephanie?
I would just ask people to review the inspection report that's been on file since the initial town tried to buy it and had the inspection. It's in the inspection report.
Right.
There are
And
photos
I
of the
just saw it.
carport, it's not a garage, like,
Right.
and I guess I just feel like the conversation that continues to be inflated about all of the hazardous material is damaging it because it's not true and it's not fair. It's not fair.
And that's certainly taken into consideration.
You know.
And on a personal level, I'm sorry any of this took place. I'm sorry there's so much upset over it. But I think we need to move forward. And as Sheila said, get along, for God's sake. Talk to people. Is my board in agreement that we can adjourn without any action at this point?
I think so. I would just like to add one comment in this, to all the parties on the board to not. Stephanie, I assure you that we will investigate this thoroughly from the perspective of the appellant and also from your perspective, and based on the information that we have, we'll come back and try to work this out. If we were wrong,
David, I have to disagree with you. I think we've worked it out. I really do. We've worked out that she has applied for a demolition permit.
Well, I guess my confusion is I don't think she ever got to finish. We skirted around the.
But I don't think I personally don't think there's anything that we can do at this
There's no
point.
other point of action.
No
Like,
other
what, do you
action.
want me to put it back? I mean, there's no other point of action.
No, there
And the
isn't.
notice has been filed with the state. They have it on file. There's nothing left to do. I've talked to the state. The fire marshal came down, remember? There was an inspection by the fire marshal. He came down.
I
So
don't know
there's nothing left to
anything.
do.
I think it's time to let this issue go.
Right.
Um,
I agree.
and, Sheila, are you still with us?
I probably fell asleep.
Before.
She probably.
Sheila, before, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Have you heard anything that's gone on?
Yes, well, most of it.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll talk.
It is the opinion now that we are going to move forward from here and allow business to carry on and try and get along. Are you in disagreement with that? You don't want anyone to get along?
I thought it's okay.
Okay. So at this point, the only motion I will be asking for is to adjourn.
Very quickly, and then I'm sorry because I didn't respond right away.
Okay, that's all right. You don't need to vote as to whether or not to adjourn. If you want to stay on the phone and hang on here, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Prior to taking the final vote to adjourn, I just want to say that David Zaldo leaving this board is a huge loss. A huge loss. And if it were not for some of his health issues, I don't think there would be the problems that there are. We are grateful for his service, and I personally will likely be lost without him.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So, now may I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So, all in favor? Aye. So,
Oh,
thank you all for coming.
Thank you.